Have you ever thought about moving to DC? Or does the idea of living in DC or the US capital appeal to you? If so, or if you're considering moving to DC, this video will hopefully help you answer some of your questions. So the simple answer is it is expensive to live in DC, but expensive does not tell us the whole picture. So just how expensive is living in Washington D.C.? First off, I'd like to say if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to get an alert when I post a new video. Now let's jump into the question. We're going to start by breaking down costs or expenses into 4 different components. So 1 would be housing, 2 would be food and groceries, 3 utilities, 4 transportation. Now let's talk about housing. DC attracts a lot of young and educated people around the country and abroad that are drawn to the city, not just because of its job opportunities, job potential, but I think because of the history of the city. When deciding whether to rent or buy, I think a lot of young professionals tend to go for the first option, which is to rent. That being said, how does renting in DC compare to other US cities? According to Business Insider, a 1-bedroom apartment in DC costs $2,100 on average compared to a 1-bedroom apartment in Austin, Texas for like $995. I personally think some other bigger cities are not much more affordable when it comes to cost of living. For example, a 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco on average costs $3,100. In New York City, that same 1-bedroom costs $2,995. That aside, DC is the 4th most expensive city to live in out of 25 other large US cities. So I currently pay around $1,700 for my 1-bedroom apartment, which is not that far from the median rent in DC. I should mention though that what DC lacks in terms of affordability and the high cost of living, it makes up for it with the numerous events and options for free things to see and do in the city. Things like free museums, historic monuments, happy hours, and other entertainment options like sporting events. Now let's go over to food and groceries. A big thing in DC is networking during happy hour, and trust me, I love happy hour. But while that seems very tempting, I think it's really important to consider the financial implications to your wallet. As a young professional especially, not all bars and restaurants are priced equally. I've been to places where the prices range from like $5 for a drink or a meal to like $15 or more. I think this is definitely something to consider because you're going to do a lot of happy hours almost every weeknight with your friends or with colleagues who will want you to join them. But I think the alternative would be to do like your own grocery shopping, right? There's plenty of grocery shopping options like Whole Foods, Giant, Trader Joe's, Harris Teeter. So far, this has been the best way to absorb most of the impact in such an expensive city. I normally spend like $100 to like $200 in groceries for 2 weeks. So now let's talk about utilities. You can't talk about rent and not talk about utilities, right? I think coupled with rent, utilities in DC are probably some of the highest in the country. On average, I pay like $1,200 per month for utilities. And this could be more or less depending on where you live at. Let's talk about transportation. To be honest, DC has one of the most efficient metro systems in most US cities. It's definitely cleaner than New York City's subway, which is, a plus, but is it more affordable? In my opinion, it's not. There's not a flat rate fee, and the fare increases based on your destination in DC. So essentially, the farther you go, the more expensive you could end up paying. My experience in New York is that you pay a flat rate fee and it could go as far as you want within the New York City subway system compared to the DC metro system. This is definitely a disadvantage of living in DC. Also, owning a car isn't affordable either. Coupled with the cost of gas, parking, which can also be very expensive here in DC, I think a lot of people need permits to park in the city for like a lengthy period. Alternatively, you can have your parking subsidized by your workplace if they provide that option. A lot of people would say that car sharing is also a way to save money. I personally don't like to take Ubers or Lyft very often. In fact, I think the metro system is probably more affordable than car sharing in the long run. I've seen a lot of people biking to work. It seems like effective cost-cutting measure. Do I think it's great? Not necessarily. Why? The landscape and poor driving skills of DC residents make it a very hazardous thing to be a cyclist in DC. So there you have it, everyone. I hope this video helped you if you're considering moving to DC or are already in the process of moving. Please leave a comment in the comment section if you'd like to see more videos like this.